Over recent months, a new protest movement has grown up in Germany. Known as Pegida, Patriotic Europeans Against the Islamization of the West, this group brings together many people across both Germany and the rest of Europe who are becoming alarmed at the increasing influence of extreme Islamists in the West, where they are seeking to impose their extreme views and Sharia law on the rest of us, whether we want it or not. Unfortunately, right-wing political groups have crept into this group to express their own racist and xenophobic views. This has led to Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, describing the whole of Pegida as racist. This is a lie that is becoming universal. Islam is a religion, not a race. Salafism is a philosophy, not a race. It is purely the racism of right-wing politicians that has tainted the very real concerns of citizens about the growth of extreme views among some Muslims. There's been several incidents of criminal behaviour by some Muslims, albeit a minority, all coming out of their extreme views. The illegal Sharia patrols, sometimes even posing as policemen as they did here in Germany, harassing citizens who in some way infringe their strict interpretation of Sharia law. The harassed citizens were simply trying to go about their day-to-day life, but if they were drinking alcohol in public places, wearing clothing that the patrols considered inappropriate, or even being openly gay, they were stopped and harassed by these illegal patrols. More seriously, the sexual abuse of vulnerable young women in various cities, both in the UK and other parts of Europe. They justify it by the thought that these young women are no better than dogs because of the way they dress or the way they act. And then, most seriously of all, the beheading and murder of soldiers, ordinary citizens, and even old ladies in the streets of our cities. And you know, there's much, much more. Even among moderate Muslims, as many as 70 to 80% want Sharia law, with all of its medieval barbarities. Hands cut off for stealing, stoning for adultery, and death for homosexuality. Earlier this month, a pastor in Bremen in the north of Germany, Olaf Letzel, preached a sermon that has become the centre of race hate charges. In the sermon he referred to the story of Gideon from the Bible and how he removed all of the worship places for other gods from Israel. Pastor Letzel then went on to say that Christianity should have no connection with other religions, as Jesus is the only way to the Father. He was in no way suggesting that we should destroy mosques or anything like that, but that we should actively resist any accommodation of Sharia law or any other lessening of Christian influence in society. We have also had the ludicrous situation that after the Islamic terrorist attacks in France and other parts of Europe, Muslims are crying out that they do not feel safe in Europe. I've got news for them. Unlike in other parts of the world where Muslims kill everyone, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, non-believers, and even other Muslims, here in Europe we find them killing Christians, Jews, cartoonists, and those serving society in the police and military. So, as Christians, what should our position be? the Bible teaches that we are to welcome the stranger or foreigner who comes to live among us, that they are to respect our laws. Just this morning I heard a moderate imam from Syria speak about how he saw the Islamists in his own country, and that's ISIS, as not being Muslims, as they did not live in peace with the people of the book. He went on to share how he used to have Christian neighbours and how much he appreciated them. Yet since ISIS came, they brought only murder to all, including Muslims. The Bible teaches that we should be watchmen and must watch out and warn if we see the sword on the land. Those who are warning against this Islamic threat are being no more than watchmen for their neighbours. So how are we to deal with the Muslims that live in our midst? As we've already seen, people from other lands could live in Israel, but if they abided by the laws there. I feel that it is not too much to ask that everyone who lives with us, immigrants and maybe citizens as well, should assent to our basic laws, allowing that they can be democratically changed if that is the will of the people. Those who wish to live under other legal systems, like Sharia, should be encouraged to find a country with that legal system that would accept them as immigrants. Speaking of our own culture, we Christians should affirm our faith in Jesus as the only way to the Father. When we lived in the north of Germany, a local Muslim leader used to send members of his congregation to me when they exhausted what the Quran said about Jesus, or if they needed healing. He told us that this was because the Quran teaches that salvation and healing come through Jesus. Many of these folks were healed and set free. Some chose to continue in their Muslim faith, and others chose to find Jesus and walk with Jesus. This is an example of how we can live together in peace. The problem is, under Sharia law, those people who chose to follow Jesus could find themselves murdered. As a sign of hope, we have over the past weekend seen moderate Muslims in Scandinavia surrounding synagogues to keep them secure. In Pakistan, surrounding churches for their security. In many places, Christians and Jews have reciprocated by protecting mosques.